Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Kingdom Hearts 2 Critical Mode any percent speedrun tutorial. In today's episode we've got a big one. This is Hollow Bastion 3, one of the most notorious parts of the run. It's incredibly difficult, it's incredibly random, and you can die really easily. So I'm going to do my best to give you as many helpful tips as I possibly can with this. But honestly, on this one, you're kind of going to have to take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot of things that can go very differently every time around. But I'm going to do my best to set you up in the best possible way to have success. So right out the gates, HB3 comes out swinging. We examine the computer and then head into our first fight, which is Corridors. And this fight is super shitty and random. But there is a pretty, honestly, simple strat that we're going to do to go about it. Basically going to be doing a lot of magnet finishing leap aerial spirals. So how we're going to start this fight off is we're going to immediately take a step forward and lock on. Most of the times, if you lock on like the instant you're able to, so I'm going to like frame by frame it here. Most of the time when you lock on, you're going to lock onto this guy. Every once in a while you don't, but most of the time you lock onto this guy. So we're going to target switch once to get to the dancer. We're going to get right up into the dancer's face, and then we're going to do a magnet, and then we're going to do a finishing leap. But before we do the finishing leap, we're going to try to delay it just a little bit, because our goal is for this magnet, this first magnet we do, to capture every single one of these enemies. So let's see what that looks like. So you saw those dusks on the end jumped. They did jump into the magnet, so that's what we wanted. And I did kind of delay that finishing leap. You can kind of tell there's a little bit of space in there before I did it. Now our next part. So we want to make sure that every single enemy is in the magnet. And two, we are really hoping that Goofy is going to do his tornado attack. We talked about the principles of magnet earlier, where when something gets knocked in and out of the magnet, it does damage. Well, Goofy's tornado is actually able to do this. So we're going to take advantage of that by continuously doing these magnet finishing leaps and then throwing aerial spirals in there, and hoping Goofy is going to help us out and really increase the damage output. So basically we're going to do this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 1 more time, and the goal or the hope is that kills every single enemy of those waves. The final wave is going to be 4 Dusks and a Crimson Jazz. If any of the Dusks from the previous wave are alive, these 4 Dusks will not spawn. And if more than 2, I believe the number is, if 2 are left alive or if 3 are left alive of the Armor Knights, the Heartless, then the Crimson Jazz won't spawn. So our hope is that we've killed everything, and if we haven't, then we have to take care of those last couple enemies to make sure we get everything to spawn. And the next hope of this is that the last magnet that we just used, that as many of these enemies as possible are going to get caught in it, and most importantly, the Crimson Jazz is going to get caught in it. Because what we're going to do is the moment we land, we're going to summon Chicken Little. The Crimson Jazz is going to get caught in the magnet. Once the summon animation of Chicken Little is done, the Crimson Jazz is going to come out of the magnet swinging at us. So it's going to do an attack. We're going to reflect it. We're going to go into a magnet finishing leap, and then we're going to hopefully be able to clean up all the enemies with just that. So let's see what that looks like. Land, summon chicken, or finish, or aerial spiral there. You saw the Crimson Jazz get into it. Land, summon Chicken Little. Crimson Jazz swings at us. I reflect it, do a magnet finishing leap, and this took out a bunch of them, including the Crimson Jazz. This last Dusk has a little bit of health left, so I'm going to finish it off. So I was talking through that a lot. Let's kind of go watch it in fast motion. It's a really, really, really quick fight if it goes the way it's supposed to, but it's incredibly easy for it not to go the way it's supposed to. It probably goes without saying, but every single one of these fights in this world will need a lot of practice and attention. But just doing this fight over and over, really paying attention to all of the enemies that are alive. Not just mindlessly magnet finishing leap aerial spiraling. That is what you need to do, but really paying attention to what it's doing and what enemies are dying and what enemies are alive. That's what's going to let you have success in this fight. So let's watch it through one more time. And lock on, target switch the dancer, magnet, finishing leap, aerial spiral. Goofy's doing his thing, helping us out, getting in the extra damage. I see that all the enemies are dead and the final wave is spawned. Reflect, magnet, finishing leap, and then let's clean it up. And at this point we're out of MP, so physical combos are our only options. So we gotta hope that most everything is dead. That's corridors, let's move on to dancers. Dancers, we're going to start the fight by immediately summoning Chicken Little and then locking on, and we're going to target switch to the middle dancer. It usually locks you onto the left dancer, so summon Chicken Little, it usually locks you onto this guy. We're going to target switch to this guy, and then we're going to immediately do a magnet finishing leap again. That magnet finishing leap is going to kind of be the theme of this visit. It's super powerful, allowing us to get to our finishers, magnet hitting every enemy, very good. But again, locking on, target switching. Magnet, hopefully Chicken Little is going to immediately Firecracker. I'd say 9 out of 10 times he does. When he does, that's doing additional damage on all of these dancers. Help makes our life a little easier. But we're going to Magnet, Finishing Leap, and then we're going to do a full air combo on these guys. There's a little bit of finesse to this air combo. What I like to do is I like to unlock from the guy that I was locked to. I'm going to wait in the air for a little bit for these guys to fall down, and then I'm going to go into my aerial spiral combo once the magnet picks them back up. Because by delaying that air combo a little bit, I give a better odds that my finisher is going to knock all 4 of them at once, which is my goal here. So let's see what that looks like. Knock them all away. Chicken Little immediately whistles them back in, and we're going to do a full ground combo with a finishing leap, and then an air combo if we need to do any cleanup. So if Chicken Little hadn't immediately whistled them in, if I had only knocked like a couple away and Chicken Little doesn't whistle, I'm going to try to run away to force him to whistle. As you guys probably know, these dancers are very vicious. If they grab you, it's a one-shot. So we want to do our best to keep them as incapacitated as possible. So whistles them back in, ground combo, and clean them up there. Took me a full combo on this guy, no big deal. Chicken Little is this next wave has 4 creepers and a dancer. Chicken Little whistled in all of them for me, which is nice. If you're towards the middle of the arena, he'll hopefully grab everybody. If you're a little bit further away, one of the creepers might not get caught. So you just kind of want to move towards the middle of the arena. Ideally, you're in the middle the entire time. There's going to be something we do at the end here where you have to be in the middle for it because you need Chicken Little to grab all of them for it to work properly. But either way, he whistles them in. We're going to do another magnet finishing leap air combo in the exact same way I did on the wave of dancers. Chicken Little whistles them back in. And I do a ground combo again to finish them off. And now we get our final wave of dancers. If we are in the middle enough, Chicken Little will whistle all of them in. What we're going to do is once he's got them all whistled in, we're going to dismiss him. Change our command menu window over to the magic side. We're going to do 2 fires that we menu. So he whistles them in, dismiss. I switch over to the magic menu. I do a fire. I do another fire. And then I do a finishing leap. And I lock onto one of these dancers, and I'm going to let myself drift in this direction. I'm going to use a magnet on them, and then I'm going to go into Trinity Limit using Major Drive. And if that fire and finishing leap has connected with all of the dancers, my magnet into Major Drive will kill them. Let's see what that looks like. Boom. If your fires and finishing leap doesn't get all of them because let's say you weren't in the center of the arena when you dismissed Chicken Little and he didn't whistle them all in, it's not a big deal. You'll do this exact same thing, but you'll need to do the finisher and it'll just take a little bit longer. So once again, for your benefit, let's watch through this all. Summoning Chicken Little, locking on, target switching in the middle, magnet finishing leap, delay a little bit, then do a full air combo, knocking them away, then do a ground combo, cleaning up anybody who's left over. Same thing, magnet finishing leap air combo, cleaning up with a ground combo, dismiss, fire, fire, finishing leap, magnet, Trinity Limit, Major Drive, dead. That's dancers. It's a little bit smoother than corridors most of the time, I would say, but still a difficult and dangerous fight. And now we're going to go into Demyx. So something really, really cool about Demyx is we'll show in just a second. We'll start off this fight. He's got 50 forms. We're going to do just like in OC, do some wild dances. And what we want to do is get him down to 30 forms. 30 and below. Anything above, don't start our next part. Get him to 30 or below. So just wild dances, doing my best to keep it in the middle if I can. I threw that one off to the side a little bit. I'm going to go to the middle, go pick up a couple others. Do a fire to finish off the last one. I was at like 31, so I'm like, I'll just use a fire to get rid of this this last one to get me down. But it picked up 2, got me down to 29. Not a big deal. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Trinity Limit. What Trinity Limit is actually able to do is kill these clones, which is super cool. And by killing the clones, we're accumulating a ton of hits. And when we use our Trinity Limit finisher, it's going to do huge damage on Demyx. The most important parts here, though, when you start this Trinity Limit is your positioning. I like to use, you see this ring around Demyx that's in the arena? I like to kind of use this as my distance guideline. The distance of the far edge of the ring to him directly at the bottom is about the distance I want to be in any direction I am around him. So let's say like the distance here, let's say that circle kind of continues on out like this. So any way along the line there is about the distance I want to be from him when I start my Trinity Limit. So we're going to move over a little bit. Let's frame by frame it to get myself in a better position. And I'm going to start my Trinity Limit. I've gone a little bit out far, not a big deal. And I'm going to start with using Ultima, which is the square. This Ultima is going to take out 15 clones. So you're going to see that I go from 28 down to 13. From there, I am in perfect position to do my Major Drive. Major Drive will take care of the last 15, or at the very least get you to below 5. You need to be below 5 because 5 is the max that can be out in the arena at the same time. And when you use your finisher, it will kill no more than 5. So if there's 3 left, it'll take care of all of them. If there's 1 left, it'll take care of all of them. If there's 5 left, it'll take care of all of them. If there's 6 left, it'll leave you at 1, and now you're in trouble. You probably would almost want a death abuse at that point, or die on purpose there. So use the Ultima. Now we're going to go into Major Drive, the triangle input, and take out as many as we can. So sometimes they like to creep behind you. So I'd say take the one out. If there's any behind you, clean that one up first, and then point it back at Demyx, getting him in the middle of it. And kind of the key to getting good damage on this is to keep your Major Drive as still as possible. As well as the positioning that I was telling you, keeping it as still as possible is actually what gets you the most clones and the most hits. So I'm going to try to keep it still and point it that way. See how it ended like that? And now I'm going to take a couple steps towards him and use the finisher. If you're too far away, the finisher of the finisher, the last part of the Trinity Limit, will whiff, and Demyx is going to escape and you're in some trouble. So you want to make sure you're close enough to him. Where I am is definitely close enough. But yeah, so I use the finisher now. And it starts hitting him and doing humongous damage. Look at that go. So more than likely, okay, really good damage is getting to about 2.5 bars. That's what you're looking for. If you get down to 2.5 bars, you know you did your Trinity Limit really well. But you don't need to get that good a damage. You can survive and finish the fight just fine without getting damage that good. It's not an issue. But in this example, I'm going to show you what happens when we do get good damage, which is exactly the same as when we don't. But afterwards, I'll show you what happens when the damage is a little bit worse. So I'll get to about 2.5 here. I'm going to immediately go do a ground combo, finishing leap on him. Coming off of Space Paranoids, your drive menu is going to be on Wisdom form. Honestly, I don't know why, but it's on Wisdom form. What we're going to do is we're going to do a finishing leap and then go into Limit form. We're going to let Demyx land. We're going to do a full combo with a Zantetsuken, 1 finisher, and then go into Ars Arcanum. This is our first example of Ars, and Ars is an incredibly powerful ability. It allows you to do a ton of hits in a row. To do the second part, I just mash triangle. You can get out the entire thing just mashing triangle. You don't need to time this one. One of the few times I'll tell you that. But something interesting about Ars Arcanum, it has to do with the way it adds revenge value. Ars only adds revenge value on the very final hit of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to abuse that, and we're just going to not do that final hit during this Ars, during, or whenever we use Ars Arcanum, basically. We never use that final hit. So this entire string of hits is not going to add any revenge value, and what we're going to be able to do is immediately start another combo. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm mashing. So the next one I did would have been that the end. I don't do the end. That's the finisher. That would add the revenge value. But because I didn't do it, Demyx is staggered, but he's taken no additional revenge value. So I can go into my next ground combo, which I'm going to do another ground combo with a Zantetsuken 1 finisher. That is going to automatically revert us from limit form. That will use up the rest of the limit form that we have. And immediately after that, I'm going to reflect. I'm going to then move my command menu and go into Comet. But what I will say, so Zantetsuken, revert, reflect. I will say, make sure you see yourself revert, because it's possible if you're mashing reflect, your whatever your shortcut for reflect is, it is possible for you to be able to get off another limit form limit, and you don't want that to happen. So make sure you reverted, reflect. You see me switching over the command menu, and I go into Comet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to land some hits on him while he's doing his DM. Totally invincible in Comet right now. So I'm going to try to do an aerial spiral. And then after his got you now, he's staggerable. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an air combo with 1 finisher. And then we're going to follow it up with an air combo with 2 finishers. That'll push his revenge value to do another desperation move. And his desperation move is really good for us because it's easy for us to dodge and it's easy for us to punish. But since I did such good damage, I actually am not even going to see it again. I'm going to do a full combo 1 finisher, full combo double finisher, and that's actually enough for me to kill. So let's see the example where that's not enough for me to kill. My Trinity limit damage is not quite as good. We're going to hop into this right during this Rs. So Zantet, revert, reflect, go into the Comet Rain, and oh no, I accidentally clanked there, but it's not a big deal. Actually, just real quick, let's see the health comparisons before we start these air combos. So he's at like 1.25 bars, let's say. If I jump back here to see where he was at, he's at 0.5 bar here. That's how much less damage I've done, but it's not even a big deal. So let's go back to right here. We're doing our air combo with 1 finisher. So sorry, let's go back to the combat. Also, I do a Comet Flare in there. I totally forgot to mention that. You do 1 Comet Flare on him while he's doing his DM, as well as you're trying to connect these just a little bit of extra damage with some air hits. Now we're going to do the air combo with 1 finisher. And then air combo with 2 finishers. And right when I do that double finisher, I'm going to go into Comet Rain. You have just enough limit gauge to do the double finisher and go to Comet Rain. And while Demyx is DMing, you're going to be doing a ground combo. Donald's Comet Rain is going to be hitting. We're going to be doing all kinds of damage to him during this. So Comet Rain, ground combo, finishing leap, all the Comet Rain's hitting, and it's plenty of damage to kill him here. And that's Demyx. Honestly, probably the easiest part of HB3. It's a pretty straightforward fight. I think I mentioned just about everything you might need to do in that fight, so let's move on. We go straight into the Final Fantasy fights, and as you probably know, if you die to these fights, you have to go back and fight Demyx again. It's a humongous time loss, so you want to do your best not to die here. We're going to immediately start off with a menu. We're first going to go and put our final ether on Sora. So we got a new item slot, and we're going to add in an ether. And then we're going to equip 2 abilities. We're going to press square. There's like a quick way of doing this. I jumped back a little too far. So press square. If you press R1 and then go up 2 spaces, 1, 2, you'll get to Vicinity Break. We'll equip that. Then go 1, 2, 2 spaces again, 1, 2, equip Flash Step. Then we're going to press R1 twice, so 1 time, 2 times. We're going to go up once and equip our second reaction boost. So this menu is Vicinity Break, Flash Step, Reaction Boost, and this was just me showing you the fastest way to do that. So we'll do that, and we'll go right into Yuffie. So these fights kind of get more dangerous as they go along. something I'm going to tell you up front is one of the biggest keys to surviving these fights is using your camera properly. This might sound stupid. You might think like, oh, well, of course I'm going to pay attention. But the best way to help you survive and to help you react to whatever is coming at you is to keep your camera as centered on the enemies as you can. Don't be staring at a wall and comboing one enemy. Turn your camera around and look at what else is coming at you. There could be a morning star trying to jump you and one-shot you. We're trying to do our best to avoid that if possible. And that's what camera control is going to be huge for in these fights. Yuffie's is probably the least dangerous, but keeping your camera centered is still going to help you out. So what we're going to do to start this, we're going to step forward and do a vicinity break, go into magnet, and then do a finishing leap. So let's see what that looks like. Step forward, we lock onto this first shadow, or you don't have to lock on, but you get to the middle with this first shadow. We're going to do a vicinity break right here. Finishing leap, or magnet finishing leap. Aerial spiral to take out whatever's left, and Yuffie is also going to help take out this last shadow here. Your vicinity break, magnet finishing leap should kill all of these original shadows. Just like that. And now immediately a big wave of armored knights is going to spawn. What we want to do here is put another magnet right in the middle. So I'm actually going to magnet early before I lock onto any enemies. I'm going to magnet early. The magnet is then going to pull all of the enemies in. If you don't magnet early, it's going to target one of them, and then whatever armored knight is on the other side is not going to get caught in it. So that's why you want to do it early. These enemies will get pulled in. You're not able to do a finishing leap until the magnet has connected with something, because we don't have Combo Master. But once it has pulled in enemies, I can now go into my finishing leap. And I'm going to do an aerial spiral. And my hope here, is I kill every single one of these armored knights with the aerial spiral, except like 1 or 2. The reason is, if 1 or 2 live, they're going to immediately come out of the magnet and try to attack, giving us the Rising Sun RC. The Rising Sun RC is going to be incredibly important and powerful in these fights, and our hope is we can get it immediately based on these ones that come out of the magnet. So see, 2 were left alive, and they're going to immediately give me this Rising Sun, and I can use it to take out the rest of the enemies. It doesn't always go this smooth. Sometimes you'll accidentally kill all of them. Sometimes Yuffie will come in and beat these guys up before they can give you their Rising Sun reaction command. If that happens, what we're going to do is we're going to do like a vicinity break and just try to provoke more of these armored knights to give you the Rising Sun. So that's what we want to use to take out the rest of these enemies. That's the fastest way to do it. But that's pretty much all there is to say with Yuffie. Try to activate the Rising Sun in this last part. Hopefully it kills all the enemies. If not, just go take them out with physical combos. And see where my MP is at. I don't want to use any more MP than this. So that's why only physical combos to finish off if you need to do any cleanup. But with that, let's move on to Leon. I do a little bit of targeting to hopefully aim for the right enemies, but a lot of ways I just kind of let the Rising Sun take care of it for me. Moving on to Leon, we're going to do 2 quick runs, but we're not going to do another quick run here. Because what we want to do now is walk forward, and right when the enemies spawn in, it's going to be really quick. This guy right here, I am going to jump. You're going to auto-target onto this guy if you're in the middle going after him. I'm going to jump, do an aerial spiral, do a magnet, and go into Trinity Limit. But all of this is going to happen off screen, because the camera is about to go look at Leon, but this is what you need to do. Once these enemies spawn, jump, aerial spiral, magnet, Trinity Limit. See how that happened off screen? You can still act during the time the camera's on Leon, but that's what I want to do. And the reason I do that is because that positioning and that sequence is the best way to get every single one of these enemies into the magnet, getting hit back and forth out of it with the Trinity Limit, as we've seen before. And it's going to take out all of them, and this next wave of shadows spawns. Once you kill all those shadows, or all those soldiers and armored knights, then we get to the shadows phase. What we're going to do is attempt to hit as many of them as we can with a ground combo, doing a finisher, a regular ground finisher, and then a finishing leap. So you're going to see me try to get in the middle here. I was able to hit quite a fair few. That's the goal, is to hit as many as possible. But after the finishing leap, I'm going to go into limit form. And then I'm going to find this this Morning Star that just spawned. And then I'm going to use Sonic Blade or Sonic Rave, whatever you want to call it, on the enemy. For me, that is circle to get him, or to use Sonic Blade. For you, it might be something different, depending on how you customize your ethers. But for me, it's on circle. I'm going to Sonic Blade this enemy. My hope is that I'm also hitting all these shadows and soldiers that are around. With Leon phase, you're really just hoping that all of your attacks are hitting as many enemies as possible. There's not a wonderful way to force this to happen. You're just kind of hoping you get yourself positioned nicely. You can see when I go after this Morning Star, I don't like immediately do the Sonic Blade on him right now. I try to get around him to this side so that I'm taking out these shadows that are still here. I do that little dodge roll to get over there. But I used it. Okay, moving on. Use the Sonic Blade. I'm going to revert from limit form at this point, and then I'm going to go into just ground combos with finishing leaps, because I want to finish off this guy, and I want to hit as many enemies at the same time as possible. So revert. He gets knocked into the air, not a big deal, and now it's just cleanup. Using finishing leaps, that's probably the best form of damage. Not much to say at that last phase after the Sonic Blade. Morning Star's your first priority. Make sure you take him out, because he's the guy that can one-shot you, and then just physical combos to finish off the rest of the guys. Hopefully Leon's helping you out as well. But that is the Leon phase, and now we're going to move on to Tifa. People like to do the opening to Tifa different ways, but for me, the way I'm about to show you is the best and the easiest. So right here, I have enough magic for one magnet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself here. Right when the enemies spawn, I'm going to do a magnet finishing leap on this armor knight that's right here. And hopefully it's also going to hit this Morning Star. Right when I land, after doing that magnet finishing leap, I'm not going to do any air combos. I'm just going to do magnet finishing leap. I'm going to land and throw an ether. Because at that point, my MP is going to be right there, and I don't have enough MP to use another magnet. So magnet finishing leap, throw an ether. This doesn't always happen, but my goal with this is hopefully what's going to happen is the next wave of armor knights to spawn. They're going to get into the magnet, which is when they get out, they're going to be provoked to use their Rising Sun reaction command. Hopefully, this Morning Star will be in this corner, and Tifa will be dealing with this Morning Star. It doesn't always happen this way, but I'd say it's like 60% of the time it works out like this. Other parts of the time, sometimes the Morning Star will be more caught in the magnet and it'll be in the middle. The rule of thumb for this fight is get your Rising Sun and use it to take out as many Morning Stars as possible. What I'm talking about is when they're positioned like this, is I can get a really cool lineup. So I know that these Morning Stars, or these Armored Knights, are in the magnet and are going to come out and give me the reaction command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock on to this Morning Star that's lying here. And then I'm going to line myself up with him and the one that Tifa was taking out. And this Rising Sun is going to be able to hit both of them. And because of that extra reaction boost that we put on the menu, Rising Sun will always two-shot these enemies. And it's actually going to be able to do this. It's going to be able to one-shot them from where the health is at here. So watch. This Rising Sun is going to be able to take them both out. Bam. And then I'm hoping it's going to come through the middle and hit as many of hit the new Morning Stars that spawn. And hopefully Tifa's helping me out as well. So you see doing tons of damage there. In total, I believe there are 7 Morning Stars in this fight, which is a crazy amount that you always want to be keeping an eye out. See how I have my camera oriented? I'm not looking at the wall. My camera is centered. I see where all of these Morning Stars are. It's so important because their jump attack that slams down, that is a one-shot, and you want to be aware when they're doing that. But for the rest of this fight, now that I've done my Rising Suns, hopefully it takes out as much as possible. Hell, sometimes if it's good enough, you can take out like all of them, then Tifa can use her attack, and that ends the fight right there. Sometimes it can be that quick. But most of the time, you'll have some cleanup you'll need to do. And what are we going to do? We're going to do magnet finishing leaps the whole time. That's the best way to keep these enemies incapacitated and to hit as many as possible as quickly as possible. So, landing. Let's just start doing magnet finishing leaps. I'm paying attention to this guy too. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Alright, he's doing that attack. And hey, Tifa helped me out. So that's Tifa phase. Again, all of these can go incredibly smoothly and incredibly quick. Problem is, they don't always go that way. There's so much randomness in these fights, unlike a boss fight like Hostile Program that we just did. That's why these fights are hard. Now we're going to use our second ether of Final Fantasy fights. I've got a little MP left, but I want to be full coming into the Cloud segment, just so I'm as equipped as possible to survive. So coming up, we're going to quick run on over. Quick run. But I'm not going to do this last quick run immediately. I want to take a few steps forward, and then I'm going to quick run, and I want my quick run to end me about here. Why? Because I want to end up in the middle of all these shadows, and I'm going to do a vicinity break when I land. If you try to do your attack too early, Sora is going to do a flash step over to one of them. So you wait for all of them to get out of the ground. You get yourself as centered as possible. We're going to do a vicinity break, and then Cloud's going to come down and slam them. And if you've done the vicinity break, Cloud Slam is going to kill all of them. If you mistime it, they're just going to all get knocked in every direction, and you're going to get a different spawn pattern of enemies. So you really want to make sure you nail this. So vicinity break, Cloud slams down and kills them all. And now what I'm going to do is I'm quick running back in the direction I came from. So I'm quick running back towards the entrance to this last area. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a security bot that spawns here. I'm going to use a thunder on it, and we're going to go over this in way more detail when we get to 1K. But when you thunder these security bots, they automatically give you their Sparkle Ray RC. So we're going to thunder him, and then we're going to immediately snag. So I grabbed him, and we're going to use the Sparkle Ray and hopefully take out as many of these Shadows, Sentry bots, and this Morning Star if possible. So blast. Now a bunch more Morning Stars are going to spawn. We're going to use another Thunder on this guy to get another Sparkle Ray and hopefully take out and hopefully hit all the enemies we can with that. Sometimes Cloud goes and tries to ruin your day, and he'll go and kill this Sentry bot. That's okay. It's not ideal. But at this point, then you'll need to start going into magnet finishing leaps, and you're going to be really paying attention to what these Morning Stars are going to do, because they are at a health that they are ready to beat the shit out of you. So pay close attention if that happens. But in this case, it doesn't happen, so I'm going to thunder him again, get another reaction command, and take him out. See how I've turned my camera into the middle, so I see what's going on with all these enemies. They're all knocked away. And I noticed that all of the shadows are dead. And all that's left is Morning Stars. Once all of the little enemies are dead, I know I'm able to kill this Sentry bot, and that's going to be able to spawn the final wave of enemies. This fight works a little bit weird with how it spawns the next wave. The way it works is, just 1 second. This first wave only has one Morning Star. Once this Morning Star and all the little guys die, then the final wave can spawn. However, it's kind of hard to know which Morning Star is which, but I realized that this guy died with my second RC, so I knew I was able to kill the final Sentry bot, which would spawn the final wave. So just seeing it again. So that took him out. All that left is the Morning Star, so I'm going to kill my Sentry bot. And now the last wave is going to spawn. I'm going to jump into the middle and use a Magnet Trinity, hoping to collect as many of these little guys, and maybe even a Morning Star, if possible, as I can. This does a couple things. One, gives us some invincibility. You saw those Morning Stars were jumping at us, trying to kill us. So it gives us some invincibility, does good damage on the little guys, and gets our drive back. After this Trinity limit, we're going to go immediately back into limit form. So I end it. If you were in trouble, don't end it. Go ahead and do the second part. Cloud is really good at taking these guys out. You don't really need to help him that much. But if you know you're safe, kill the Trinity limit and go into limit form. So I know I'm safe. And now you can... It's kind of up to you. Ragnarok is the best thing to do, but you can also do a Sonic Blade. Sonic Blade's a little bit safer. When you're in the Ragnarok, you're in some danger of an enemy coming out and sniping you while you're in the animation. So that's why it's a little dangerous to do that. And if you want, you can do the Sonic Blade. But regardless, we're going to make sure we're safe when we use it, or as much as we can be. And we're going to use a limit. There's a couple key reasons we want to do it. One, it's a lot of damage, helps speed the fight up. But two, this limit ability is going to be enough to give us level 2 limit form, which is really important come the Roxas boss fight in the world that never was. It's a long ways away, but you'll need level 2 limit form for that fight, so it's good to get it out of the way here. If you didn't get it, it's not a big deal. Maybe you'll get it in 1K when you're using Sonic Blade because you're panicking. You might get it on the Riku fight in Land of Dragons, one of those things. So there are ways to make it up, but the main reason I'm using limit here is to speed it up and to get that final bit of experience. And you'll see the final part of this Ragnarok. It's going to hit all the enemies, Cloud's helping me out, and I kill everything. And that is the end of FF fights. Again, super dangerous, super duper dangerous. Practice this one a lot to really get these down. Focus on your camera movements, making sure you're aware of where the enemies are, and hopefully you won't have too bad a time. Now we'll have a quick menu that pops up. We're going to equip once more on Sora, which you unlocked during the Final Fantasy fights. The reason we got to level 23 on the monitor grind is now we just have once more, and that's going to help us to survive 1K a little bit easier. We're going to switch over to Goofy's abilities, which got all turned off after he quote-unquote died. And we're going to turn on Goofy Bash and Jackpot, and that'll be the whole menu. And then we head into what's arguably the most difficult and dangerous and shitty fight in the entire run. That is 1000 Heartless. Now, I'm not going to lie, 1K is kind of like the fight that I feel least qualified to be explaining here, just because I feel like even to this day, 4 years later in my speedrunning career, I feel like I'm still ass at this fight. But I can still give you the tips that I know and the advice that I have to help make this fight a little bit easier. It's not going to guarantee anything. Nothing about this fight is a guarantee, but there are some key things that you want to focus on in order to give yourself the best opportunity to survive this fight and go fast. So obviously, your goal here is to grab as many Sparkle Rays as you can and take out as many enemies as possible. The way you want to do that is by trying to stay in the middle of the arena. Obviously, when you're in the middle, you have a chance to kill enemies from all sides, whereas if you're against the wall, you only have the enemies that are in front of you. So you won't be able to kill as many as you possibly could if you're in the middle. What you're looking for with each of your Sparkle Rays is probably right around 60 or so kills. So with each Sparkle Ray you do, you want to get about 60 kills. And the way that you do that and the way you try to stay in the middle is with camera movement and with reaction command timing. So I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick here. Just going to let a couple of these play and then I'll explain what's going on. Say you got about 58 there. And then a little 65 on that one. Not too bad. So over 60 combined with those first two. So you kind of see how I was first turning my camera. So let's look at this one. I am facing the enemy, and I turn my body actually a little bit to the right. Why am I doing that? Well, I realized I'm a little bit off to this side of the arena, and I want to get back into the center. So I turn Sora's body to face the center. And what you can do with your reaction command timing, you can actually control the direction in which Sora is going to throw the Sentry Robot after the Sparkle Ray is done. So you do your first snag reaction command, no timing there. You grab it, but then when you land on the ground, you don't actually want to be mashing triangle to do the Sparkle Ray. If you mash triangle to the Sparkle Ray, Sora will kind of throw it in a random direction. But if you hold and wait until Sora's knee bends to press Sparkle Ray, Sora will throw the bot in the same direction he was facing when he picked it up. And that's very key. That obviously allows you to control where you're going to throw it. And now I know he's going to throw it in this direction where I was facing when I first grabbed it. So that's the reaction command timing. The second key is your camera movement. So camera movement is key because of how enemies spawn in this fight. They spawn in a really weird way where you kind of need to turn your camera in order to force them to spawn. And additionally, you only get experience from enemies that are on screen when you kill them. So some of the kills that happen, you aren't necessarily able to see the enemies. They might not actually totally tangibly exist. They might still be like the static PNGs that are in the background. So by turning the camera in the way I'm about to show you, you will force the enemies to spawn, be able to get more kills and more experience from each sparkle ray. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I probably do it in the less popular way, but the bottom line is you want the sparkle ray to be facing the camera as you turn it. So you're going to turn your camera in a circle and have the sparkle ray be facing it. The common way of doing this is just like starting it facing your camera and then turning it to the left, following it along. But the way that I do it is I start by first turning my camera to the right and then turning it back to the left to catch up and have it facing backwards by the sparkle ray facing towards the camera by the end of it. So I'm going to slow the playback down here and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Also just cuz let's mute this. So I turn the camera to the right first, and then when the sparkle ray gets to me, I turn it back to the left. So it gets to me and I'm now turning it the opposite direction and it's staying with me. And as you can see, it ends and I throw it into this middle direction that I wanted. So those are kind of your two goals with every sparkle ray you get. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more to react to, you know, bots doing different things, wind-ups versus just the quick reaction commands. But those two, the camera turn and the reaction command timing, those are your basic principles for 1K, and then also trying to keep the enemy in the middle. Throughout the rest of this, though, I'm going to show you what is not a perfect 1K. There's a lot of mistakes that happens, but I want to show you, I want to talk through kind of what I do right, what I do wrong, and the options that you have, basically. I guess let's first start with the options. So we have a couple of panic options. The first one is going to be going into limit form if you get into a bad situation, like maybe a bunch of lasers are coming at you. That's your first panic option, you know, obviously getting your health back, giving you the ability to do like a sonic blade to get yourself out of a bad situation, and also with the way that limit form works, get you some health back with any hits connected. And then after you've used limit form, you can also go to the Trinity limit if you're really desperate. But yeah, those are the main two panic options. And then obviously reflecting enemies is big. You can also guard enemies in very specific situations, and that works surprisingly well. So, but anyways, let me just keep playing this and I'll talk through what's going on. So now I know I want to throw it into this area, trying to keep in the middle. So pick up the bot that I got, turn in the camera as I was discussing. All right, got another one. Got hit a little bit there, so I threw out a reflect just to make sure I didn't get hit again and put myself into some trouble. Again, still trying to keep in the middle as best as I can. Okay, I got a wind up here. So I actually failed in this case because I do my reflects in a little too quick a succession. But if you have enemies coming at you and you want to reflect them, but then instead of the quick RC, this bot gives you the wind up, you can do 3 very delayed reflects. So basically doing reflects so that the third one is the one that actually releases the attack, or I guess the retaliation from the reflect spell. By doing 3 in a row, you can delay enough and give yourself enough invincibility to give this bot time to wind up and allow you to do the RC. You're going to see me not do it fast enough and I'm going to get hit and punished for it, but that is what my goal here was. And also a small note about picking up these bots when they're doing their RC. You also need to time the snag in this case. So basically, and there'll be a better example of this, but once the reaction command comes out, you don't want to press the grab so this guy's spinning in a circle. You don't want to press the grab until he's coming back down. So he's going counterclockwise, and basically once he passes 12 o'clock up here, that's when you want to grab it. If you try to grab while he's going up, so moving from like 6 o'clock up to 12 o'clock, Sora's going to jump up and possibly miss the grab, and you're going to be stuck up in the air, not being able to have any options and potentially get hit and killed. So you want to wait until they're coming down. But again, here you're going to see that I fail my reflect timing and I get hit. And there we go. Bang, bad. So I panicked here and grabbed a Sparkle Ray that I got. It probably would have been better for me to go into Drive. The reason why is that it's because I'm at 1 HP. Sure, this Sparkle Ray will kill and give me some health back, hopefully. But during this, there's a chance that I can frame one get hit out of the reaction command. So in the moment the reaction command is done, I could die from it, and there's nothing I could do about it. That's why it probably would have been smarter to go into limit form. I get away with it in this example, but I just wanted to let you know that. Again, talking through some of the mistakes I make in this video as well. It's not perfect intentionally. I didn't want to give you a perfect video because 1K does not usually go like that. Either way, I get away with it. I don't get hit. I notice there's no enemies around me, so I go ahead and throw myself a potion. Don't necessarily totally recommend that because it's slow and leaves you vulnerable, but I saw there was nobody around, so I figured I was safe to do it. And then I picked up this bot and trying to get myself back into the loop. Going well here. I reflected those enemies, and luckily that guy gave me the quick RC. All right, wind up. Something you can do, which you've probably seen before when a bot is winding up, if you identify that it's winding up and you aren't under attack, which I was a little under attack here, but I got away with it in time, you can thunder the bot, and thundering the bot immediately gives you the RC. So that's helpful to do, and that's what I do here. And I'm able to grab it and continue my loop. Alright, this is the example where I do it correctly, where I do my 3 reflects. The bot has time to get into its reaction command, and then you saw how I waited until it came back down. So I could have done the reaction command right now, but I waited until here is when I did it. So I saw it's coming down, and that's when I grabbed it, and then I was able to jump and immediately grab it. So that was the better example of that. Okay, I'm watching that bot. Whenever I see a bot winding up, even if I've gotten a snag, I really want to pay attention to that bot because I don't want to make sure that Sparkle Ray kills it. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have lasers coming at me. I'm going to give myself a chance to react if possible, basically. This is kind of like what I was talking about with FF fights. Camera movement, incredibly important, not just for the spawning of enemies, but also for your awareness. Being aware of what is around you, it's going to help you survive. Now, see this guy winding up? Okay, this guy also wound up, did a thunder. Now, I'm also at no MP here, so I basically have to hope that I'm going to get bots and be in a safe place. And if not, I'm going to have to reflect. You saw there, I threw out a guard. Little dangerous, but I saw that I was targeted onto this guy, and I would have been able to guard him. Guard is obviously good in this game, gives you some iframes, and gives me some chance to wait for this guy to finish winding up. Boom. A small note here. You see my Heartless count. I'm at about 893. So we're almost towards the end. But right around the 800 area, this fight can get insane. And for whatever reason, in this range, the game will oftentimes like to spawn just tons of sentry bots. And it gets really scary and dangerous. So I'm not necessarily telling you to handle it differently. I think you should keep handling it the same way. But you should be a little bit more prepared to panic because it's way more likely that there's going to be a lot of shit coming your way. But anyways, continuing on. Alright, I got hit there, but I quickly grabbed that bot. Is this guy going to hit me? No, he's not. Oh, okay, and here comes all the sentry bots, like I said. In this range. Oh shit. Let's hope this kills everything. If not, I've already got my command menu down the drive. I'm getting ready to panic. And boom, I use it. It did clip me, but it wasn't enough to kill me. I panic, went into drive, get my health back, and go quickly grab one of these snags. Alright, that time we took them all out. The fight also gets a little different once you get the 900 ranges. There's a lot less bots on the field, and this time, once you've hit this range, you actually don't want to move your camera in the same way. There's kind of two ways of handling it. The first way is actually just to grab the bot and not really turn the camera at all. If you're in the middle of the arena, the bot will get kills on enemies that aren't on screen, which is actually okay and what you want. If you turn your camera the same way, you're probably only going to get like 10 or 15 kills. It's kind of weird that way. The other way that you can do it, which I'm kind of a little bit more a fan of, but it has its downsides as well, and I kind of make the decision during the scenario what makes more sense, is if you spin your camera around, you can force enemies to spawn on screen. And if I spin it around enough, eventually there'll be a lot of enemies on screen for me to then use the sparkle ray and kill. Right. That's what I did right there. So if you saw as I was running over to this guy, there's no enemies on screen. If I don't turn my camera at all, my sparkle ray will probably kill a bunch that are behind me. If I turn my camera normally, it'll probably only kill like 10. But what I do here is I turn it a bunch to get all the enemies to spawn on screen. See, there they are. I was able to get like 20 there, which is still not amazing, but... And here I made the decision, because I'm only 15 away, this guy's giving me the windup. I decided to revert from limit form and just do a thunder to get my RC a little quicker. Got hit there still, but got away with it. And got my 999, killed the last guy, and finished off 1K. So, yeah, this fight sucks. There's kind of no way around it. Having once more makes it a little bit more bearable on crit than it is something, say, like level 1, where it's absolute hell. But this is a fight that's going to kill you a lot in runs. I think I've gone over most of the best options that you have here. But it is, believe it or not, one you do need to practice a lot. You need to get down how to keep the enemies in the middle, how to time your reaction commands, how to turn the camera. It's really important. You may not think it is, but it really is. So that's going to finish HB3 here. It's a tough one. In the next videos, we'll get to second visits. Thank you guys for watching.